if you have an answer, it probably is, well, this is what I want to do. In terms of a plan and how I'm going to execute it, I'm not so sure. Enter ICA Lion, because they will say, okay, this is what you want to do. How about we activate that for you? How about we give you ideas in which how we can make this happen? So what does it require? That you have a conversation with them in terms of what it is that you want to do. It could be futurely, a month, 3 months, 3 years, 30 years. Really, what is it that you desire to do? What they will do for you is say, okay, let's sit down and let's work this out together, and you can come up with a plan that we will actually make sure that you see through to fruition. plan.icealion.co.ke. Get onto the website, find out the different ideas that are available, and then write to them, plan@icealion.co.ke.
Kidi Mwaga is the Secretary for Policy and Legislative Affairs for the political party known as KANU. Is our guest for the next hour. Kidi, good morning.
Good morning, Eric.
Welcome to the hot seat of the Situation Room.
Thank you very much.
Did you get that message from ICA Lion?
I did. Yes.
It's plan.icealion.co.ke. Visit that website. You'll get a lot more information. But it is about planning. I mean, that's what you do at the political party, right?
Yes.
You think about what the party ought to do. When you're thinking policy, you're thinking what needs to happen, what needs to come. So you're the right person to actually have a conversation with ICA.
Thank you.
For your plans.
I will take up that offer.
Very good.
Yes.
Very good. That's what we like to hear. We also like to hear the day's proverb from CT. This week he says he's from some archipelago of islands in the west of Africa.
Yes, Cabo Verde.
Cabo Verde.
Yes, people keep calling Cabo Verde. I've refused. It is Cabo Verde. Imendikwa Verde.
Verde.
Okay.
And that is exactly how.
Cabo Verde.
Yes. Or Cabo Verde. Yes.
So somebody, that's the way it's written.
Yes.
Cabo Verde.
Yes.
Okay. Cabo Verde. Portuguese.
In Portuguese, yes.
Right.
The dog's happy dream produces no meat.
Wait, before you go into the
We'll take a proverb.
Yeah, this man is a political party guy.
Yes.
Tell him that system of government again. Let's see if
Okay.
he understands it.
Let me go to town on this one.
Yes.
One of the wonderful things about Cabo Verde or Cape Verde is this. It is one of the stablest countries on this continent. And there are those who would argue it is partly because of the sort of political system it has. It's what you call a unitary semi-presidential republic.
Unitary semi-presidential republic.
Exactly. Semi-presidential in the sense that they have a president, okay, whose name is, it's written Jose, but I'm sure it's pronounced Jose Maria Neves, okay? They have a prime minister called Ulysses Correia Silva, okay? That's it. No vice president, no this and the other, which means they have a hybrid system where the prime minister has powers, the president has powers. So that's the check and balance in their system. Something which works for them. Okay? It doesn't fall into any category that you could sort of like refer to and say parliamentary or presidential.
So the president is still head of government.
Oh, yes, he is.
And the prime minister has executive roles in government.
Yes, he does.
The prime minister is elected by parliament.
Yes.
Okay. Hybrid indeed.
It's hybrid indeed. And the power sharing structure is probably part of the reason why it is this stable.
Okay.
Yes.
What is their independent political party called? You know, ours is called KANU.
Do they have an independent political party? Yes, they do. Now, did I write it down? No, I did not. However,
okay, we'll find out.
That is a question that I will answer tomorrow.
That's the job that we're giving. You're giving Kidi Mwaga that assignment.
Yes.
Okay. As an official of Kenya's independent political party, will tell us the independent political party of Cape Verde. Okay. The proverb, Tafadhali City.
The proverb. The dog's happy dream produces no meat.
The dog's happy dream produces no meat.
Yes.
Interpret that, Kidi.
Thank you, Eric. And my big brother, City. I think that the dog's happy dream produces no meat is that the dog would wish that it has the hand delivered to it at its feet. However, the dog must, in the same vein and breath, realize that it has to fold its sleeves, if dogs have sleeves, and run after the hand and kill it. And that is when it may have something for the day, and that is when it would have the meat. Be a hope that meat will come without matching that hope with work is not enough.
Meat doesn't grow on trees.
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
Neither does it grow in your dreams.
Yes. In your dreams.
Nice.
No.
Dream on.
Yes.
Okay. Secretary for Policy and Legislative Affairs.
Yes.
Okay. So, first of all, just take us through the structures of the political party KANU.
Thank you. Political party KANU, Kenya African National Union, primarily has a secretariat that does day-to-day running of the party. Over and above that, we have got the NEC, which makes the decisions of the party, and the NEC has got representation of various sectors of the party. Of course, there are the youth representatives, there is the women, there is what you call the mainstream part of the party constituting the NEC. From the NEC, we've got the NGC, and then we've got the NDC, which is the ultimate organ of the party. Unlike most political parties, we don't have the position of the party leader. We have instead the position of the party chairman, which is the senior most position within the party. Yes.
Why did KANU decide not to have a party leader?
I think going through our own tradition, that for a long time we had the position of the party chairman, which for us historically was the highest position, the highest position within the party in terms of leadership and direction. We decided to retain that tradition. And while other political parties found it convenient to have positions of party leader and party chairman, which essentially is to distribute positions and to contain political fallout within the party, we decided that we have a chairman and that's enough. And everybody else can occupy other positions below the chairman.
How old is KANU? More than 60
We were
years
formed
old.
in 1960 in a place called Tinganga, Kiambu, in March.
Okay.
So that brings us to 64. Yes.
It's the oldest political party right now in the country.
Yes.
And you've had what, only 4 chairmen?
We have had only 4 chairmen.
Talk about traditions, it is.
And stability.
Stability.
That is indeed true. But what is of interest is this, when you look at political parties in East Africa and you look at the longest serving, the one which comes to my mind is Chama cha Mapinduzi in Tanzania.
Yes.
It has remained the dominant party.
Yes.
Okay. And yet, they also have a multi-party system just like we do. Okay. How is it that KANU did not retain the power that it had? Because for the longest time, in fact, everybody who is in government was in KANU at some point or the other.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So, or are we going to claim that KANU is really a training institution where they mature politicians and then release them to form other parties so that democracy can grow? Why did KANU not retain the power it had for the years that it actually had the power?
I think that's a very legitimate question, City. But then I want us to look at the historical political development of this country. That after the time when we flirted with what you call single party era,
Yes.
by the time we reintroduced multipartyism formally in the 90s, there had been built up of political pressure in this country.
Yes.
And so I think that part of KANU's loss in 2002 and being unable, particularly the loss at that point in time, was its inability I must admit, to manage the politics during the single party era and during the transition. Because you look at CCM of Tanzania, you realize that President Nyerere had the foresight that early on in 1985, he decides that he has stayed on for enough period and decides to hand over to Mwinyi. And then by the time Mwinyi is reintroduces multi-party democracy in the 90s, then already CCM is still viewed as by the people that it was still their best last hope.
It was a progressive party.
Yeah, as a progressive party. So when you get parties like NCCR Mageuzi, CAF of Ibrahim Lipumba and others, already CCM had demonstrated that it was progressive enough. And so in CCM's wisdom, to manage this transition better than most of its peers, I think that is where we dropped the ball. Go to Zambia, the party of Kenneth Kaunda. It has been, I don't think it has been able to capture power since Kaunda left office.
No, it hasn't.
Yes, so I think that is the same tragedy we have suffered. Yes, and I think we give credit to President Nyerere for that foresight. Yes.
KANU as a party, I mean, as is expected or assumed for most other parties, has an ideology.
Yes.
What is it?
We are a center-right party, and center-right means that we are a party that believes that the government should only do certain things and let certain other, then there are things we leave to the private citizens. We are not, a center-right party is not an interventionist, does not believe in an interventionist government. So as a center-right party, we are a party that believes in family values. We are a party that believes that ideally capital should be in the hand of entrepreneurs as opposed to state getting involved in running of enterprises. Yes. Yes.
Has it always been the case for KANU?
Well, there is
When
life
KANU
as
was
it,
Baba na Mama, it was
of course there is life as it as a reality, and then there is the ideal.
yes.
Sometimes, and realize that one of the biggest struggles in life is to bridge that divide. The divide between the life as it is and the life as it ought to be.
Yeah.
Yes.
Do you find any political groupings in this country that are completely opposed to the position, the center-right position that KANU occupies? Like, are there ideologies in this country that you've seen in political parties that are totally the opposite of what KANU believes in?
Well, if you scan around, particularly if you look at the major players since we left office, the party that almost took a center-left position was NAC, but it was for a very brief period, and then it reverted back to center-right. Between 2003 to 2005, I think President Kibaki really attempted to engage in government interventions. But then I think after 2005, after 2006, you realize that it reverted back to center-right. And afterwards, you look at government, how government is run from 2008 all the way to last general elections. We move into something called flagship projects. And so when you get into flagships, you realize that now government starts to when it is implementing projects, when they are called the flagships, now they are passed through acclamation. There is no so I think yes, the only time. So, but back to answer your question more properly, is that the only time we felt that there was a party that attempted to move from center right was the duration between NAC during 2003 to 2005. Yes.
Today,
Yes.
how does KANU live out its ideology? I keep going back to ideology because essentially it should be the thing that guides, and then we say that those who then enter into positions of leadership, governance, whatever it may be, then essentially would carry the ideology of the party, because essentially that's the vehicle that delivered them into that position. So then how is Kanu currently living out those ideologies that we speak of in present day political Kenya?
Yes. Thank you. Bonaciti said earlier that Kanu has become a training ground. I must say from the outset that, remember, in the last general election, Kanu had 2 presidential candidates. The 2 leading gentlemen honed their skills in our backyard. And so today, how are we living these ideologies? One, I think I must again say that Kanu has gotten to the saturation level of what would happen to a political party out of power. The only place Kanu can now go is up. So then how is Kanu living its ideology? Kanu today has got a very robust youth league. You can clearly see that Secretary of Policy and Legislative Affairs is a fairly young man. And same goes to a lot of other positions within the party. That the party has given these young people an opportunity to exercise their talent and imaginations. Beyond that, we also have a very robust Kanu Campus League, where we are working very intimately with young people in institutions of higher learning and trying to orient them into the type of country we would want to preside over when we get back to power. Because again, we believe that government remains one of the most powerful tools of collective social progression. Yes. Again, not through interventionism, but by ensuring that it puts in place an infrastructure, an environment that enables citizens to then thrive.
Okay.
Yes, through private enterprise.
So the evangelists of the ideology of Kanu are what you've described, the youthful Kenyans, whom you're engaging more robustly and using them to come in and be members and thrive in the party.
Yes.
How are they spreading this message?
Of course, they're spreading this message through their daily interactions, because we remember that we've got what is called the youth space in this country. So there is a civic youth space. So even in institutions of higher learning, these young people are asking themselves, which direction are we headed as a country? And which type of country or society do you want to have in the next 10 years, in the next 20 years? I will tell you something, that in 2004, this country had a wonderful opportunity to redirect itself towards its highest ideals. But I must also say on this show that the country missed that opportunity because of the brand of politics it was practicing then. As young people, we are saying that we must teach ourselves to practice a brand of politics that 20 years from now, we will say that we were part of the golden era that helped this country redirect itself towards its highest ideals.
Okay.
Yes.
Sounds very good. Sounds like a boardroom conversation. I don't interact with you. There are days when you see the kind of youth wingers.
Yes.
Whatever they were doing, whether they were spreading the ideals or ideology of the party, we can argue over that, but they were visible.
Yes.
In terms of being active and robust out there, Kanu isn't as active, as visible out there as we've seen the other, like you said, the other political parties. You're seeing UDA, you're seeing Wiper, you're seeing ODM. We're not seeing Kanu as a unit being as visible as this. Is this part of the strategy, or?
Oh, thank you for that question again, Eric. I think that Kanu is a very robust political party. And then while everyone may believe that political mobilization only happens through political rancor that a lot of our competitors have embraced, I think we've been around. So with the benefit of experience that we have, we know when to robustly engage the citizens and when to retreat back and engage through channels that are established. For instance, when the political fallout was raging, and it was called mass action, or others called it Maandamano Mondays and Thursdays.
Yes.
this country was crying for leadership. Through KANU, we managed to consolidate voices of young people across the political divide and came up with what is called Interparties Youth Forum, IPYF. Maybe you have interacted with it in other sectors. Interparties Youth Forum was an initiative of KANU, and that is when young people across the political divide, in their wisdom, decided that in this moment, let KANU lead them. And they gave that responsibility to the Secretary, Policy and Legislative Affairs, KANU, yes. So that is how KANU is engaging. And because KANU believes that